Hello there, outliers. Niiamah Ashong here, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey. We are here on an incredible Outliers Edge roundtable, and I cannot wait for you to meet the amazing, all-inspiring outliers that we've assembled for today's conversation. Right? Let's give you a chance to get to know them. We're going to start off here with Allison. Allison, thank you for being here. Can you do us a favor and let outliers know more about you and the game you're currently playing?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be in community with such incredible humans. My name's Allison Tenney. I am a strength and conditioning coach. I run an online fitness business that's geared mostly for women, but my background is actually in sport. I was a college soccer player and college soccer coach at the Division 1 level and was doing all of the strength and conditioning for my women's soccer players. And long story short, ended up leaving the college soccer scene, starting my own business. And entrepreneurship is a journey. Fitness follows that journey. And so I am obsessed and love helping women achieve strength both inside and out.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I cannot wait to explore. Like you're playing at the Division 1 level, both as a player and as a coach. There's elements of being at like playing at the top of your game that I think will really play out in this conversation. And I can imagine how you're bringing that into your business. I can't wait to like explore that even further from here. Thanks, Allison. Thanks for being here. Titus, how about you? Let us know more about you and the game that you're currently playing.
Well, again, thank you for this opportunity. I'm really excited just to be here. And the game that I'm currently playing is this game of incorporating my gifts as a singer-songwriter, sound healer, and spiritual life coach, and how to assist people in this world of deconstruction, as I feel a lot of people are navigating from religion to spirituality and not really knowing how to live life on purpose and for a purpose. And so the game I'm playing is really assisting people in finding themselves outside of the dogma that they've been exposed to.
Mm, mm. I'm feeling new perspectives. I'm feeling like exploration of self, and I'm feeling like we're in good company here. So excited for this year. Allison, I'm going to start off the first question with you here today. You brought up something about like fit. You said business is a journey and fitness is a journey. I'm curious for you, like what are some things that you have found from with a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners listening to this. What are some things that you found from like your like the fitness world and the sports world as well that like you that like translated or were analogous to business for you. I'm curious how you're able to leverage the sport and fitness world into how you show up as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I think really the you have to have that growth mindset that like I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to not just try things and fail, but try things and keep getting better because the failure is part of that getting better. And I really found the transition from sport and this idea around performance and my self-worth and value being wrapped up in how well my body performs. I had to shed that identity and move into what is my body capable of? How can I live joyfully in this vessel and be present and not get wrapped up in the performance and pleasing piece of it because fitness can be so aesthetic based. That has really guided my business forward instead of the diet culture of let's lose 10 pounds and put your self-worth into the PRs are cool, performance is cool, but that's not what is actually sustainable. And we get really wrapped up in the identity piece of that. Being able to recognize that, move away from it, and have a deeper sense of joy and fulfillment because of movement because of your inherent worthiness, has really led me into this new path of my body and how I'm connected to it. So while it may have started with sport, it's really shifted into this more joyful experience of where I'm at now. And that reflects my journey of entrepreneurship, because there's always a comparison piece that you can really get caught in.
I really appreciate this, and this is going to expose a little bit about me and my fitness journey right now. You mentioned the words PR earlier, and I'm in my mind. I think I know what it is, but just so we're all on the same page, because there was a lot of wisdom, and I didn't want us to lose ourselves on that. What does PR mean?
Personal records.
That's what I was thinking. Yes.
Personal records. How
Yeah.
can I get like, and PRs are cool, right?
Yeah.
Like hitting PR back squats, hitting a PR mile time. Those are really great benchmarks and tools to use, but they're not everything. And there's got to be more nuance in those conversations of what you're chasing, because you're always going to be chasing something. And if your self-worth is wrapped up in the PR, that's where it gets a little bit more dangerous.
So like as you're talking, like I'm hearing it through like the physical component of it all, but also thinking about it just like from like being someone who's achievement oriented, achievement driven.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing from there is that like the self-worth and the achievements were actually quite tied for you. And you had to like you had to choose a different path. Am I getting that right? Let me make sure I'm not putting words in your mouth.
You're hitting the nail on the head. I had a lot of untangling to do. I had put my self-worth into the performance, into the pleasing, into the Division 1 scholarship, into the achievements of it. And that goalpost constantly moves. Same thing in entrepreneurship, right? Like you start a business, you want to get 10 clients. Okay, well, then the 10 clients, you have to build out your tech platforms, and it continues to move and move and move. And if you don't stop and take a moment of what's my why, where is my value, what is enough, what is sustainable for enough, you're always going to be chasing. It will never be enough because, and I can't wait to hear Titus speak. The world tells you more is better. It's never enough. You're never enough. You have to actively work against those narratives in your performance, in your fitness, in your body, in your business, in your relationships, in your like in every aspect.
Titus, I'd love to hear what you'd like to add on. Like what parts of this resonated with you? Where is this taking you right now?
It's really taking me to the place in us that we really don't know who we are until we come into a place of being blocked by what everybody else said we were. And so, having that in mind, a lot of things that I tell my clients and people I work with is who told you that? And with that, who told you that? Do you believe it? Because at the end of the day, if you don't believe it, then you can make a different choice. But I have found that a lot of our choices have been based upon what somebody else said and not what we actually believe.
Well, that's really a really cool thing that you just brought in here, Titus. I love our conversations because it always gives me like different perspectives to look at things. One of the things that came to my mind when you talked about the being blocked by other people was what they say was uh, for the first time I was looking at it as like a gift. Like not for the first time, but I just realized there's a new gift in having people reflect back to you. Not even just to find out like not to find out who you are because that's what they said, but to find out who you are because you get a chance to respond to it. And like I felt a very active participation in what you said there, Titus, where it wasn't like, you are XYZ and I have to just accept it and say thank you for seeing me. But instead, it's like I get a chance to be like, okay, uh, A, what am I doing that's putting that out there? And B, it gives you, it just bring you to your word, like brings you to choice here. It's a really fun perspective on that there. Thanks for bringing that in.
Absolutely. I think that is where it leads to. It's about self-awareness. And I'm a firm believer that people are only giving you what you are. So if they're giving you something that you say you aren't, then they're going to basically show you, and then you get to decide, okay, do I believe what they're saying? Because they're giving me what I'm giving out. And if I don't like what they're giving back to me, then I could do something different to put something else out there and then wait to see what's being returned to me so I can see what I'm actually giving.
Yeah. Allison, I'm seeing some of this stuff is resonating with you. What's coming up for you here? Let's bring it in.
Yeah, I think the question that I like to ask myself, that Titus is like really bringing up for me, the curiosity piece, I think is really key. And the curiosity, not just about the world around you, but also your inner world of being able to get curious about your own thoughts. Is
Mhm.
that my true, like, is that my truth? Or is that a thought or a belief that has been handed to me? Right. And I think getting curious about that instead of judgmental, and being able to ask, is that true? Is that true? Feelings aren't facts. They're valid, but they're not always facts. And I think
Mhm.
bringing in the curiosity piece has been a really big game changer. So as I'm listening to Titus, I think that really resonates. And I like to ask that question: Is that true?
Yeah, wow. Like, so outliers. Well, one, we have this very simple question: is that true? And then Titus also brought in, well, who told you that? So we have some very simple things that we can use as tools. I'm going to invite you to use them as awareness building tools throughout the day. Okay? Just to start to see what is actually playing out for you, and what might you be moving through in a default fashion. And then Allison, you said something that I just thought was I really love the way it came together. Where it's like feelings aren't facts, they're valid, but they're not facts.
Mhm.
And I feel like that was like very freeing for me to hear that, to be able to look at these things as like to hold them as like I almost feel like two separate systems. It's like they're not actually on the same continuum. They're different. Whether like facts and feelings, like facts and feelings are not the same. Doesn't mean that anyone is more valid or less valid than the other. And that was just a really like refreshing like take on that. What I'm going to ask a question overall around it here, but like I just want to spitball one last time around this, Allison. Like anything that's coming for you, Titus, anything that's coming to you based on that. It just feels like a really fun distinction.
I think this is amazing conversation because, I don't know if the connection is there for you guys, but for me, I just had this conversation with somebody that two things can be true at the same time. And this is because we have different perspectives. So we might be having an experience with the same date, the same time, being raised in the same household, but from that event have two different perspectives as to what happened, and they both be true because our truth is tied to the feelings of what we experienced in that event. So learning how to not what is the word I want to use? Not to invalidate somebody else's feelings based upon your perception is really key, first of all. And then understanding that you are entitled to your experience, but you're also entitled to a choice to have a different perspective.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm getting Titus. One of the things I'm getting right now, I'm smiling right now because I'm getting a sense of sort of like the freedom and responsibility what it's like to be in your world.
Mm,
And it's a beautiful one, right? Because you keep coming back to the word choice, right?
mm,
You talk about deciding, you talk about choice, and there's something in there that I use the word ownership a lot, right?
absolutely.
And there's something in what you're saying that is so welcoming and inviting to be at choice, and at the same time also like really confronted, because now you have to own and take the responsibility of what's playing out for you. Why don't we go to you all on this? I have so many questions for y'all because y'all are, you know, just quite fantastic. Why don't you take us to a time where each of you had to make a choice, had to own into something where you were confronted, and it made a choice that most other people may not agree with or even like really understand, but you knew that for you and the way that you wanted your business or your impact to grow, it was a choice that needed to be made. Titus, since I feel like you're probably seeing this a lot here, so let me start off with you on that.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
I recently just had to make a choice concerning whether I was going to go back to teaching or not. Because, as an entrepreneur, it's a grind. And it's not every day that you get a sale. It's not every day that you get a lead. And it's not always every day that you get a viral video. And I had to look at, do I go back to something that I'm no longer aligned with? Or do I really stand in the truth of what my intuition is telling me and what is more aligned with my calling and what I believe is my God-given purpose in the earth?
Thank you for that. Thank you, Titus. Like, I want to come to you, Allison. Like, would you mind sharing with us a choice that you recently made?
I wouldn't say it's a recent choice, but it was a very intentional choice
Yes.
when it comes to my business. The fitness industry is really um, uh, steeped in scarcity, right? Like you're not enough, do this fitness, lose this weight to be enough. I intentionally market towards a sustainable approach. I don't market weight loss. It might be an outcome, but it's not what I push. It is a much slower build when it comes to my marketing. To Titus's point, I'm not getting huge amounts of women that are showing up at my doorstep saying, I want the quick fix. I want the weight loss. I don't market those things. And let me tell you, the sustainable approach and the type of clients that I do get who are in it for the long haul, who are in it for not just the external strength, but also the internal strength, has made my enjoyment around my business
Mm-hmm.
immensely better because it's not based in scarcity and fear and shame and guilt, which is a lot of what the fitness industry, literally the fitness industry marketing is rooted in. And so I go against that. I find it to be more of an uphill battle, but one that is so validating and worthwhile.
Well, I appreciate you bringing in. You're talking my language here. One, you're using joy, and so that I get that. Like Allison, you take the time to actively create joyful experiences. They may not be easy, you know, but like joy and fulfillment is part of your motivation and also the North Star behind it. It feels like that's really much in alignment. Am I getting that right? Firstly,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. I actually, I think I had a bit of a chuckle. So I ran the Chicago Marathon this past weekend, which was
nice.
like a huge bucket list because I'm more of a strength girly. I'm not really like a runner. I don't do run coaching. It was like this thing, the stars aligned. And so I paid, it was like the best $79 I had paid for the professional photos that I got after. I got 37 photos, and from start to finish, I was cheesing big time. Like I was laughing at myself because I could not stop smiling through 26.2 miles. Was it like feeling good in my body the whole time? No, but it was the most joyful collective experience because if you have ever been to like a big marathon, like the streets were lined with so many people, there were 50,000 runners, and I went into it saying I'm going to have fun, I'm going to detach from any outcome, I'm going to walk if I need. I stopped to pee twice and I smiled and had the best time. It was the collective joy, right? Like the community joy, the running community joy, and it was everything. Like, and I think that type of experience, when you allow yourself that type of experience, can really be life changing.
I love that.
yeah. There's something in it like uh I hear you talking about the marathon. I think about the marathon of business, and you brought in like the parallels there. So I'll be playing with that right now. Outliers, like because I look, I've never ran a marathon, but I can imagine some parts of
The
it are
first
pretty
one.
grueling. Yeah, first one, right?
That was my
Yeah,
first one.
yeah. I can imagine some parts of it are pretty grueling, and some parts of it can be,
Extremely.
yeah, yeah. And then it goes back to what Titus was saying, where he's like, business can be a grind too. Like, so I'm hearing this, and the thoughts in my mind is like outliers. One, let us take some time and opportunity to allow joy to be in our world. What if every day while we are running, while we are building our businesses, while we are making our impact, while we are increasing our income, while we are showing up authentically in the world, we're able to do it and come from a place of joy, of to be
Mhm.
in that and to be in the energy that is around, that is being shared, and to not block ourselves off from it. And I think that I'm saying this for y'all, but also as a reminder to me, if I'm being honest here, because right now there's it's a time of high execution, you know, and to find those moments of to smile, and not just to smile for the sake of smiling, but to actually be in the joy of it all, whatever that looks like. And if you're really good, potentially have like a paparazzi follow you around for part of the day and see what does it actually look like. And you know what the funny part is, Allison and Titus, given outliers, someone's gonna do this. Someone's gonna hire and be like, I want to know what I look like, and they're gonna see it and they'll be like, wow. Like I didn't realize how much of a strain I was putting on myself throughout the day, or how much I enjoy, or where things were going well and when they weren't. It's an interesting exercise. It might be something I bring to my clients one day. I just hire paparazzi for them and be like, just see experience your joy and have that come back to you. You know, you know. I want Allison. You brought up something around the fact that you market differently, and that you're aware of what works, and and I would take it that being in Division 1 and in sports, like there's a competitive side to you. There's a side
Mhm.
that knows what it takes to win and wants to win in that way. And it feels like you've changed the rules around what winning means for you. So I feel that like you play a different game than most others. um I'd love for you to speak to here around like the uphill battle that you the uphill battle part of it, around choosing to remain true to yourself as you're bringing something different to the market right now. And like it's like in one sense we know what you're bringing, in another sense it's like the motivation or the why behind it is completely different. And then Titus, I'm going to come to you as well there, just as well, because I know that the way that you build your business and the things that you incorporate many different components of it, that is also really fresh. So,
Mhm.
Allison, you mind taking us off on that? Like tell us about your experience. Tell us about how you continue to play the game and smile throughout it and so forth.
Yeah, I love this idea of how we play the game. And I think how we play and the understandings of the games that we do play is really important. The fitness industry is steeped in diet culture, which is like the stepsister to white supremacy. And when you understand on a systems level how fitness and the body and white supremacy are all interconnected, you turn the lights on and you cannot unsee those things. I'm in the fitness industry. We deal with bodies. The way my body, and if you're listening, I am a thin, white, privileged woman. The way my body shows up in the world is going to be different than someone in a bigger body, a disabled body, a trans body, a black body, other types of bodies. And how we interact with one another and are received, you cannot deny those privileges. And so I see the way I market as trying to change the game to show other white women that it can be done, to change the systems and structures of how the fitness industry views bodies. To me, that's the deeper why. I don't want to. I can talk about weight loss. I get it. But to me, that's like the entry point. That's like the surface level, right? Like I'll talk to you about those things, but we're going to get down to untangling diet culture and white supremacy and like those types of conversations pretty quickly. Because once you develop that internal monologue around your own body, well, now I can show up differently in spaces. And our nervous systems can show up differently, right? Like my nervous system is going to react to your nervous system. We're interconnected. That is a truth. We are interconnected, and I want to focus on that interconnectedness. But I have to do my part as a white woman, right? Like I can't go hero saving other people. Like that's gross and icky. I have to do my work, and I use my business as the work. That's why I don't market that way. Do I go out into the like social media space and like say those things? No, it's woven in there though. And to me, that is like how we change the game.
So, Titus, I'm going to come to you in a second, but I want to just slow down just one bit before we do. So, outliers, I'm gonna invite you right now just to take a quick account for yourself here, and ask yourself like what shifted for you when Allison shared her why and shared the motivation behind it, right? I want you to just take note of what, if anything, shifted for you. I want to just like and acknowledge you, Allison, for bringing in a powerful why, right? And bringing in something that I talk about like leveling the levels along the way. And what I felt from you is that like you you're willing to go to the deeper levels in order to help us elevate into higher levels. And it may look on the surface as though you're, running a fitness business, like in one thing, and which you are, you know, but there's more to it. Like I feel movement, I feel transformation underneath it, not just from the physical component of it, or even just like the personal development 101, 201, kind of elements there. But there's a deeper motivating force behind you. And I want to bring us into perspective on that because I feel a lot of times we don't feel like we can bring our why up in there. And at the same time, you're helping me tap back into like the mission oriented components of what and why I do this. So I'm going to go to Titus in just a bit. But Allison, anything you want to say to that just before we move on?
No, I think you really encompass that. And I would encourage your people that are listening to dig deeper. You know, I think more clients and more money, we get into that like more. What is enough? What is your enough line and why is really important.
Play with that. Titus, I'm going to come to you. Like, feel free to if there's anything about what Allison just said, feel free to comment on that. But I'm also really curious for you around like you do things differently as well, and it's not like it's. I'm curious about how you continue to build upon it, to grow into it, and navigate the way that you choose to show up differently in your business.
First, I just want to just say that I'm in love with the passion that Allison has. I think she like shifted a corner. I was like, okay, she's passionate about this.
Mm.
And for me, that is kind of goes into this space of where I am is knowing your why. And knowing for me, my knowing is that what I've experienced in my own religious trauma and unpacking is really where my heart is to see other people evolve and be healed. And I think when it comes to knowing your why, it has to be attached to an experience that you've had that if anything happens, that feeling, that nudge will still be there. And for me, that nudge is this pull, but what I will call God to say that you're needed. Because the way that I do my coaching is not the other way people are doing their coaching. Just the same way Allison is doing her brand, there's nobody else like Allison that can do her brand. So, in everything that we are talking about today, coming up to this point, knowing your why, standing in your why, but doing your why the way you do your why. And that's what it boils down for me. Really getting comfortable with how I even started doing sound baths. Because I started doing sound baths from being a worship leader in the church and trying to figure out, okay, I can't really sound religious, but what do I do with this gift? Because I know I'm called to sing. And then I came across sound healing. So then I started doing sound bowls and I'm sitting there and I'm like, this don't really work for me, but I feel called to it. Then I start singing on the sound bath, and it's like this feels weird, but I like to sing. And then next thing I know, I'm getting inboxes like gospel and sound baths. This is interesting. And then it's like, okay. Then the more I did it, the more it was like, okay, there is something about being you that nobody else can take away from that. And so the way that I stay in that lane is really doing it more often, to say the least, because in doing that, it creates more joy, like we've been talking about. And then you just begin to get into this creating of the more of what you want to experience. And so that's where it's landing for me, learning how to create more of what I experience versus creating what I don't want to experience.
I appreciate you, Titus, right now because there's you shared a bit about like your journey into this with from and what I was getting in that journey was just like this component of like allowing yourself more and more to continue to follow what was feeling right. And there's a component of it that really struck me, which was like we get to experience you now, right?
Mm,
And like Titus is like, all right, you gotta know yourself and then choose, right? And what I'm hearing here is that like you, I guess my thing is that like it's really refreshing to see like the path to being yourself is not as easy as just a light switch that you just flip on. You're like, one day, be authentic. Not being authentic, be authentic. Done. Done. Here I am. You know?
absolutely.
So like I experience both of you as people who are willing, not even willing, it almost feels called to be you, you know.
Mhm.
And while there may be more straightforward paths available, you're like, that's just not my path. And like and the willingness and wantedness and the havingness, the calledness to continue walking through that. I would like to make sure that we give some space here before we start wrapping up for today. Uh, give some space to that part of what it takes to show up in a way that you feel is authentic. All right. The way I would almost look at it is like what's the hidden cost that most other people may not see? They experience you, they get things there, but what's the hidden cost? And it is that's the first part, and then the second part is like what's the return on that investment for you? All right. So what's the hidden cost, and what's the return on the
Ooh,
investment?
that is a heavy question
Hmm.
slash simple question,
Mm.
and the answer is the same on both sides. Everything. You have to give up everything to be on this journey of authenticity, but in return, you get everything.
There's nods here. There's not here. If you're listening, the silence is screaming. You know, Allison. What about you? What comes through for you?
Ah, Titus, yes. That. I think we love to glorify the big launch and the successful business and the marathon and the PRs, the personal records, but we do not talk about the daily grind and the boring stuff, the stuff that we don't like to do, that we don't want to show up for, that we do anyway to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And you lose friendships, you lose
Mm-hmm.
relationships,
Yes.
you lose people, and it's devastating and heartbreaking. to learn the
Mm-hmm.
hard way. And I think we have all learned the hard way. And on the other side is everything. I'm obsessed with what Titus said.
Well, I appreciate y'all because y'all like there's just like deep knowing in here, right? From the actual lived experience here. And not lies, I want to invite you if there's something that you're holding on to, like it's almost like you don't even know what you don't know yet, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But we acknowledge that getting there ain't easy, you know? It might be simple, but it ain't easy. And I want to put that in this space here, especially if there's something you're thinking that I'll speak for myself. One of the hardest parts about choosing to build this business in a way that's authentic for me has been like for a very long time, I felt like I was flying, that everything I touched just worked, you know? And then one day I actually like became like sober to reality and I was like, this isn't working, you know, in many, many different ways. And I remember where some of like the most freedom for me came was when I was like, well, if this isn't working and I'm gonna have to, you know, stop the business or go back into things, into a job, the thing that kept going through my mind was I'm like, if I stop now, I would feel as though I didn't actually go for what I wanted to go for. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't actually fail at what I wanted. I failed at doing everything other than what I wanted in order to get to the place where I could do what I wanted,
Mhm.
you know? And that was one of the bigger places that where like the transformation, like the allowingness for me to bring it into my business came in. Where it's
Mm.
like, you know what? At the very least, I'm gonna say like I went for it my way, and I didn't have the skill set. I didn't have the resources at the time. I didn't have like the connections at the time. I'm really starting to figure like everything works. Like Allison, I'm with you and what you're doing right now. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is more time than anything else, right? Um, but as y'all are talking, you're connecting me back into it. And I want to say thank you because I do lead a movement here about liars, but it's sometimes hard to remember the why. I can't not do it. I'm called to it, Titus. Like, you know,
Right.
I can't not do it. Um, but there's something in it when you're able to tap into that deeper why and play in that authentic like relation that takes it from more of how I have been seeing things, Allison, in more of like the you know how business growth, what are the metrics, how are we doing things there, and just like being able to play with both elements of like, yes, the business wants to grow, let's make that happen, and yes, there are needs that we have in this external world, and also I'm here for something larger. There's something more going on with it. I'll leave that right now. I'll put that into our space here. Allison, anything that's coming up for you? I saw you move the hair and like what's that happened? I was like, oh, she probably has
Did
something to
it
say on
made
that.
me it made me think I have these wonderful mentors from Seven Stones Leadership who I've done a lot of work with over the past, and it made me think of a quote, and I'm gonna butch the batch the quote like a bit, and it's something like, um, the line of good and evil runs through each of our hearts, and
Mm-hmm.
who among us is willing to pull out a piece of their heart? And I think this idea around authenticity and connecting to your why, for me, it was encompassing my full humanity, not cutting out pieces of it that I was ashamed of, that I was fearful of, that I felt guilty or bad about. It was when I turned and faced and started, I'm still, therapy and all this stuff, started to really accept those pieces of me
Mm-hmm.
that I like really shunned away and turned away from for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That I found to be transformative and helpful in my life, my relationships, and my business. That full humanity piece.
Ooh, that's so good.
Well, y'all, we've had an incredible conversation. I appreciate y'all so much. And Outliers, I have a request of you. We're talking about things here, and but this conversation is not just between the three of us, or even just between the four of us as you're listening. This is a conversation that is meant to be dynamic and to be continue to be expanded in the world. My ask is that you take some time right now to think of one person in your world, who in your world right now would really benefit from being reminded about their mission or to be a part of this conversation. And my ask is that you share this with that one person. You like feel free to share it on your larger platforms as well. But I do think here, and this has been like something I've been sticking with from every single one of these conversations. It really is just one person that if you can meet them and let them know I was thinking about you when I heard this episode, and I think it would do really well for you to take a listen. I think that would be enough. All right. Not even enough. I think that would be, yeah. Well, actually, I'll use enough because Allison, you brought it earlier. You said, well, like, you should know what enough is. All right. And so I'm going to like play with that. I'm like, yes, there could be more. But I actually think like this, that's the right person here and the right message for at the right time. Like, that's what this game's really about. It's not about listens or anything like that. So I've made that request of you outliers. Now I have a request of you, Allison and Titus. And the request here is that you let us know how we can continue going down into your world, how we can like go off in our journey with you. How we like to do this is that I ask each person to share an insight that you've got from this conversation. The insights for you. Outliers have gotten what they need at this point here. The insight's something that you are walking away with, something that like has felt like it's shifted within you, or something that you want to continue to like think about, evolve, and bring out with you going forward. And the thing can be you didn't have an insight. If that's the case, put that out here as well. All right. But we'll do that. Share an insight that you got from this conversation, and then let outliers know like something that you're excited about and how they can continue down the journey with you. Allison, let's start with you, and then we'll go to Titus.
Cool. You both actually said something. It was a Titus, your conversation around the choice. I think I'm just going to be playing with that. And Niiamah, you had also said like, oh, I'm going to play with that. I like this idea around I'm going to play with that idea. It's not this or that, one way or the other, right or wrong. I'm going to play with that. I'm going to let that simmer. And I think both of those things kind of speak to that around choice and like playing with an idea. So I really appreciate this conversation with the two of you. And then totally forget the second thing.
Thank you, Allison. The second thing is like is that there are outliers out here who are listening. They're like I see the way you see things. I want to go through my journey. I want to be in your world and like
Yes.
like have my relationship with my movement and body in a way that aligns with what you're putting out there, Allison. So
Yes.
if you could, how can we stay in your world? How can outliers go deeper with you?
I love social media. I am on Instagram constantly at Allison Tenney. And I love DMs. I love conversations. I love being active with my community over on Instagram, and my website, AllisonTenneyFitness.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Allison. Titus, how about you? What's an insight that you got from this conversation, if any? And what's the best way for people to continue down the journey with you?
So my nugget that I pulled from this came from Allison's last statement about being human, because that's really big for me. Because I feel like coming from a religious background, the religious organization did not teach humanity. They taught being spiritual, but not being human. And in this conversation, it has reminded me that in your humanity comes authenticity. And so I'm just reminded just to be human and express myself that's true to me in my humanity. To go continue on this journey of being yourself by way of personal evolution, personal development, which I equate as being spiritual. You can follow me at Titus Glenn Official on all social media. I'm primarily on TikTok, but I check all my DMs everywhere because I'm everywhere. But it's my handle is Titus Glenn Official.
Well, I am just breathing y'all in, taking in this moment here. It's been something really special to be in conversation with you, and I appreciate who you each have been out in your world and who you will continue to be. And I thank you for that we get to have this moment in time, this snapshot here of having this moment. And I look forward to what Outliers create from it and what each of you do as well. Thank you for sharing your experience, your expertise, and also your heart with us here. Y'all are incredible, and I'm looking forward to what you create from here. Until the next time we talk, remember this, outliers. Be you on purpose. Journey on.